It's what are we at today? What is Tuesday?
Tuesday. Happy
Already?
Tuesday, Ed. It's going to be a great day.
It's Florida Daily Show. You're so optimistic. I am the publisher of Florida Daily, the man himself, Ed Dean, and of course, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show host. You can we're gonna be putting this up on the website where you can catch the show in the state of Florida, AM and FM talk stations, daily Monday through Friday, and also on the weekends as well. Lindsey Randall, my co-host here at the Florida Daily Show. So I got some good guests lined up for you as well. Some of the stories we're going to be covering this week is this whole special session BS that's going to end up taking place. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Governor DeSantis. But I mean, how many now, Lindsey, they're talking about, let me see, 1 for redistricting. That's another issue right there. 2 for property taxes. Ugh, that's another issue we'll get into.
Two, the second session?
Yeah, I'm confused just as much as you are, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what, 1? And then what? 1 for the budget? I'm confused, man. There's nothing getting done in Tallahassee. That's good in one way and bad in the other, I guess you could say. So We're going to get with this with our panel discussion coming up here, and then a little bit the property taxes. Can we have a little fun? You know, the only difference, I tell this to everybody on my radio show, and I say this here at Florida Daily, as you know, we have a huge readership at floridadaily.com, okay? And that doesn't include the radio show listenership as well, Lindsey, but I always tell everybody, when you hear on the national issue, there's no difference. It just happens here in the state of Florida. State of Florida deals with, transgender issues that, they wanted to teach them or whatever in the past before. We talk about unions, DEI. We talk about taxes, tariffs. As a free market economics guy, I'm not a big fan of the tariffs. It's had a negative impact on the manufacturing base here in Florida. All of you think it's 3D chess. Well, really? Tell that to the consumer that's got to pay for more money for clothes and other food products and other things coming down from tariffs. That's another issue. But I know this isn't like the sexiest issue. I know you follow this, Lindsey, as well as a news person, but what's interesting is this whole Epstein thing. Are we, because now the former Florida AG, who's now the U.S. AG, the Attorney General Pam Bondi, now they want to subpoena her. And I'm always curious because I'm going to bring Ed Lynch coming up in here in just a couple moments. He's down in Palm Beach County. Ed's followed us. Just, where do we end this thing on the whole Epstein? Just kind of different here in the state of Florida, because I wonder, there's been some sort of rumor, and we haven't talked with the Florida Attorney General about this. He's a friend, James Othmeyer, but I wonder if nothing happens, Bondi's office, I wonder if the AG may do something about it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thought. I hadn't thought about that, but I don't think this is going to die. I think this is going to be like a peeling back the onion layers. I think that this is going to keep just bringing, this stuff is going to keep being brought up and shed light on it. I don't know, Ed. I don't think it's dead yet. I think it's going to be a while. I think Iran is kind of distracting everyone right now.
It's a distraction, right?
I know. I always say, okay, well, we got to bomb some countries, and then there's a distraction from something else. Maybe it's just my conspiracy theory brain after COVID. I can't get away from it. But I don't know, Ed. I don't think this is going away. I think this is going to move into the midterms.
Yeah, then I want to talk about the property taxes here in Florida. We've got to break a lot of what's the word? I mean, I like breaking stereotypes on my radio show. I like breaking stereotypes all around: black, white, Jewish, Hispanic, the stereotypes. I mean, I love doing all of that, And but we got to break things down. So
Ed, first of all, one stereotype is face for radio. So is this what you're trying to do now?
I don't know. So anyway, Lindsey, let me write the jokes, okay? But anyway,
you love that one.
I know. But what I'm saying is that this whole elimination of property taxes isn't happening. You have homestead, and there's more non-homestead individuals. What about the business community? As much as I would love to go down the path, at least I have said this 1,000 times on my radio show, I would love to go down the path of eliminating the property tax and going down the path of a sales tax to replace it where everybody, quote, pays their fair share. I'm not the biggest fan of the income tax, but I'll talk about this with our guest coming up in a few moments, that, okay, at least I can talk about replace it with a flat tax, Lindsey, or a national sales tax. Nobody's talked about how they're going to replace any of this. So
right. It makes no sense to pass something and then you have to figure out how are you going to get the revenue to replace it. I mean, that's what I I don't know. In any business, in any company, if you don't have a plan, you're going to fail. And so I feel like that's what the legislature, they need to figure that out before anything goes through and passes.
Yeah. So let me bring in Ed Lynch, one of my favorites. Eddie's been on with me
Hey, Ed.
many years. Ed Lynch, not only is a business guy, but him and his flipping. I mean, he's like a 15-year-old with a camera down out of Mar-a-Lago with Trump and taking all these pictures and stuff like that. I love it. But Ed's very well-known web and audio podcast as well, The Primal Truth, which you can hear on a lot of different media outlets. So, hey, Ed, first off, I love you when you come on the show, bro. And I like that you're coming on with us at the Florida Daily Show. So let me jump around here. You follow this. I'll get maybe to Epstein, some other stuff in a little bit because on the Florida level. But this whole property tax thing, I'm going to play for you a couple of clips if I can get to it. Here was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And I want to get to the issue of if I can, if I got it set up. I may not even have it all set up here. Maybe I don't. Anyway, I was going to try to get to it, but I want to, on some of the things, maybe I won't get to it. Anyway, I want to get to where the whole property tax, the non-homestead, the homestead, we're going to try to eliminate it. I love my governor. I'm the biggest fan. But I don't know how many months can you keep saying it's coming out, it's coming out, it's coming out, and nothing's come out. It's already now March. Are you one of these that sits back and says, just give it time? Or is it like, hey, man, we're coming into like the 6th and 7th inning of the ball game. Nothing's showing up as of yet. What's your take on this one, Ed Lynch?
No, the property tax thing is just all bullcrap. I mean, politicians are politicians. They're going to, if they do something in a week, they go, oh, you know what? I did something. Let me do something else next week. That's what Trump kind of is the opposite of. He goes, all right, I finished something. What's next? And so when we talk about the property taxes, they're just kicking that can down the road because they can't figure out what to do. I mean, property taxes bring in about $55 billion a year into the Florida economy. As far as the state goes, it's about 36% of that is homesteaded, is just the regular primary residences. So they got to figure out what to do with residences that are apartment buildings, residences are non-residents, business properties. And so they're clueless. It's really pretty simple. You know what? Give everyone the exemption. And by the way, it only gets rid of ad valorem taxes. It's not going to take care of all taxes. So people that think they're going to get, oh, I have zero property tax bill, that's not going to happen. So what you do for the businesses is a piece of cake. And even the apartment guys, you just say, look, we will give you the exemption as well. However, what we need you to do is guarantee that you're going to give a break or a discount or spread the discount that we're giving you amongst all of your tenants. And if they do that, then they'll be fine. Don't you have to worry about raising money any other way. So there's a lot. I mean, look, all you got to do is charge $10 extra a hotel room and we'll be flush with money. You know, hit the Indians for a little bit more. I mean, there's a million options out there to get money. And apparently these guys don't want to do any of them.
Okay. I like replacing it with the sales tax, but at least we got something. Is there enough tourists? Because there's a lot of state tourists that are going to pay that as well. What you're talking about is what the attitude is by economic developments is that somehow a hotel or a bed tax will pay for all of this. Is there enough extra revenue to pay? Because governments aren't going to cut their spending. Can we just be honest? They're not going to cut. So
they never give it back.
How do you suffice the amount of revenue then to replace the property tax in Ed Lynch's world then?
Yeah, no, there'll be more than enough. Hey, just let Corey Lewandowski and Christine Noem, pay a little bit extra for hotel rooms. I mean, that's all you really got to do. But anyway. No, I mean, you could probably come close anywhere between $1 and $10 a room. And you know what? If Floridians go to hotels, so be it. I mean, they're not going to miss it. What from $210 a night to $220 a night?
Wait. Are you telling me you could replace it by taxing the tourists? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. We're a huge tourist state. I mean, there's so many tax jet skis, tax restaurants, there's a ton of areas that you could tax things. We don't like saying it because we're Republicans, but the truth of the matter is there's more than enough if you want to get creative.
Hold on. To your point, no, you're right as conservatives. But having said this, like, for example, you have said this, and I think I've said it before, if you're going to raise my sales tax, offset it with a property tax. So they use the term revenue neutral, which I've never understand. But we're at least saying is that you can replace the income tax with the national sales tax, which is done on, based on activity. So basically what you're saying is you're still trying to offset it, just more in a level that's maybe not as egregious to some as others.
Yeah, no, the fair tax is the way to go nationally. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We'd be anywhere between 17 and 21%. We'd be able to replace all the revenue that the government, I'm trying to remember, I'm not in the radio now, but I'm also not on my podcast or Megyn Kelly. So that the government just wastes constantly.
Yeah.
And, and it's great for poor people because you don't put any tax on any used goods. And then the only thing that you make tax free would be bread, milk, diapers, eggs, things that are staples, rice, things like that, the poorer people will, and they don't have to pay any taxes the entire year. And then if a guy buying a Toyota Camry has to pay tax on a brand new car, that's fine, because a wealthy guy buying a Rolls Royce is going to offset that significantly with what they're going to be paying. So the fair tax is the way to go. The flat tax is the stupid tax. It's the exact same thing we have now with one tax, level. That's it. But that would be onerous on poor people. So now you're going to take it and just make one tax level, but you're going to try to make it something below the top tax tier. And what that's going to do when you take that away and you get rid of poor people is the fact that the wealthy people won't be paying their fair share anymore, and will make even less money.
We should do a big discussion on the fair tax. I'm with you on that one. But something, Lindsey, it's like Ed said something quite interesting. And Ed owns several pieces of property. So Ed, I'm going to try to keep this, I'm in the ballpark, the cost. Let's say, I'm not saying we're paying New York City prices. Okay. But for example, you're down in Palm Beach County. And so, Lindsey, let's say, and I'm giving a hypothetical because I know some people watching this and listening to us on radio are going to, well, then I pay. No. Just bear with me. If you're paying let's say you had $4,000 to $5,000 a year in property taxes, and you can get it eliminated, the psychological aspect is, oh my gosh, there's another $600 a month, $500 depending where I can take and pay for whatever. People will spend that amount of money. Now, the question is, well, it hits poor people. Yeah, but guess what? I mean, people like me, you, and Ed Lynch, we're paying for everybody else. I mean, 58, 59% of people in the U.S. don't even pay a flipping federal income tax.
Right.
So they should maybe pay for everything when it comes to Lindsey Randall on the issue of if about fairness, which the left loves to use that word all the time. If it's about fairness, then everybody can contribute to it.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I agree. I think the psychological impact that it'll have just with, I'm thinking my mortgage alone, when I pay my property taxes and I see that little card, hey, your property taxes are going to go up this year, even though I've done nothing to the house. I think psychologically that'd be really great. And having more income. I mean, we've been talking about yesterday's show. We were talking about just gas prices alone are going up. I think that'd be really beneficial. Ed, Ed Lynch, I know there's been some debate on if the property taxes will be eliminated, when to phase it in or out, however you want to describe it. What do you think is fair? What do you think is reasonable? What do you think actually how we could do this in a reasonable amount of time?
Well, if it gets passed, say they put it in a ballot initiative this coming election in November. So it'll go into effect January, which means it'll be July 1st that it'll go into full effect. I think what they would need to do realistically is they should just enact it and say it's done. That's it. Let everyone figure it out. Stop giving people all this time to figure out where else to screw us over and find extra money. Let's just get it done and get it taken care of. Because, if you give politicians enough time, they will figure out another way to get over on us. I mean, that's what they do. They're morons. They really are.
What do you think about July? So the July 1st then?
It would probably be July 1st. It would be enacted July 1st. So if it's voted on, I'm completely against ballot initiatives. 100%. I don't think that we should ever do anything and put it on a ballot to let the ordinary voter have an opportunity to vote to change our Constitution. We have representatives that are there to debate those things, get kickbacks from, the certain lobbyists and all of that stuff. But the truth of the matter is, we should never put it up to ordinary voters. Ordinary voters don't even know who their congressman is. They'll either go in and they'll vote based on signs, based on last name, or based on party. That's the average voter, probably 80 to 90% of them. Very few are like us or the people that listen to us that are political wonks. So I just don't think this should be on there. And what they're fighting over now is to get which one of the 11 different options are they putting on there. I mean, they could have easily had the one with 65 and over. I mean, Trump has actually proposed that as well nationally, which he can't do, but whatever.
Yeah. I've already got emails from parents. What do you guys now? We haven't done a story at this at Florida Daily because we don't know Ed, now we're talking about here in Florida, we're going to have a special session for redistricting and a special session for the budget and then a special session for property taxes. I mean, the one that they're talking about right now that's kind of cleared the hurdles on the House side is where it starts phasing out over 10 years. But then again, Ed, nobody's talked about what you're going to replace it with. What I find interesting is our good friend, the state CFO, Blaise Ngolia, and I love Blaise, but he's, when he does this whole Doge thing, by the way, which I think he ought to let us do it. I think, our ears as journalists, we know where the fat is in Florida, but you got to start pinpointing where the waste is. I mean, really, if you're going to talk about how we found waste of $2 billion in Florida, you got to start giving out some details. Otherwise, like the Sun Sentinel and other newspapers are going to start calling you out. But anyway, if we could do something about the spending, and yet this is where I'm a little of a catch-22, that as much as Blaise, understandably so, will criticize local governments here of where they're spending their money, but yet he's also said that if this is passed, for example, west of Tallahassee, where there is it's very popular, from Cocoa Beach, Daytona Beach, South Florida, people can come in, spend money, go see the mouse in Orlando, all that revenue comes in from the sales tax. Excluding maybe Destin and some of the areas, there isn't that much revenue coming in unless it's through a property tax, which is usually west of Tallahassee to the Panhandle. So Ed Lynch, my point that I keep asking is that if, let's say, hypothetically, you were to sit back and say, well, we're either going to eliminate the property tax or we're going to really, quote, reform it, that's less revenue coming in. And yet the same elected officials that have criticized local government say, well, the state's going to come in and give you the money to help pay for the needs. That's a little odd, because if they're claiming that the needs that many of the cities are doing aren't right, then how and who's going to determine for those local municipalities what is the right amount of funding to come in from the state to offset the property tax loss? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and each county is going to be different anyway. But keep in mind, none of this talks about non-ad valorem taxes. It's just ad valorem taxes. So all of the schools, the utilities, the police, the fire, the maintenance, the libraries, all of that's still going to come out in our property taxes. And, so I think people are going to be surprised when all of a sudden, my tax bill is very expensive. And so if it were to drop by $10,000, I'd be like, yay, what am I going to do with that? Where, and some of my friends, if it were to drop by $50,000 or $60,000 or $70,000, they're like, okay, that's not that much. And so you've got all these people that most of their wealth is in their house. They have a $300,000 house here in Palm Beach County, if you could find one that cheap now. Or maybe they paid $250 for their house. So they're going to get some of that money back, but they're going to get awful ticked off when, there's still half of that money or more than half of that money that comes out in their property taxes. Because like I said, it has nothing to do with the non-ad valorem taxes. And they haven't done a good job explaining that to anyone.
We're talking with our good friend, Ed Lynch, who's also a professor, adjunct professor at Palm Beach State College. So, Lindsey, if you look at all of this, the local government, the spending and the state and all this type of stuff, if we could control just our local spending, and I'm going to tell you this right now, we've covered this extensively at floridadaily.com and also in the radio show. All of this garbage and crap that we're dealing with was all coming from COVID. Remember, right. All of these schools, these cities, and by the way, the millions of dollars that cities like Jacksonville was getting, Orlando, ONG, Palm Beach, Flippin County, sorry, Ed Lynch, all of these counties getting all this mass amount of money where they had more money they can shake a stick at. We're still jacking up, example for Jacksonville, we're still jacking up everybody's property, gas, and sales tax, yet we had more revenue coming in, and we told the money's going to run out. All of these areas, and we're going to get back to the property tax thing in a second, by the way, all of these areas of spending, they can't control it because we're giving all these monies out to all these charity groups out there. They were told the money was going to run dry. We're going to come up with it. And now look what's happened.
Right. It's never going anywhere. Actually, I remember, was it just this school year, 26, 27, or was it last school year? Regardless, all the students were getting free lunch. It didn't matter their income level. Every single one since COVID. And I remember getting like emails saying like during COVID, hey, you can go run by your child's school. You can pick up however meals you want. And that never, I mean, that ended where you could pick up meals, but it didn't end in the school system. So any child could just go there and they would eat. I remember there were kids that they would bring their lunch and then they would also get a free lunch and they'd be like, you know, whatever they want. So that waste alone, just in that little bit, was ridiculous. So that's the tip of the iceberg.
You know, you oversee a lot of these charter schools that you consulted with. Hey, Ed, what is the governor is, I know you know him, we know him on this radio show, but he hasn't released a plan. What the flip is going on? I love my governor, but I mean, after 7 months, now don't get me wrong, I know he's got an itch fest going on with the Florida State House. They're not going along with some of the things that he wants. And he says he don't give a flip about the 65 and older and higher exemptions, by the way, which I think this is where the tax debate's going. Why isn't the governor released a plan? It's now March.
Well, no, he actually has. It's House Joint Resolution 203. I mean, that's the official one that's out there. It's there for everyone to read if they want. That will be what voters are going to vote on. And again, I'm against any constitutional amendment that voters vote on. But he's trying to put it on them because it'll pass. Who's not going to vote for it? And I think that one, 203, has it going into effect January 1st of 2027. So they've got time to figure out what to do with it and let the local municipalities figure out what to do with it. It should be July 1st. If it were up to me, and it passes, I'd be like, all right, it's done immediately. January 1st, 2027, we're doing it. Don't give these fools time to think about, where to come up with money and where else to get it from. By the way, there is only one other place to get it from: us. So if they're not getting it from us now, they're going to get it from us another way.
Well, I don't know what okay. I haven't seen what the governor's talking about, but again, this is another discussion which we're going to have. It just doesn't. I understand by cutting the spending, which, by the way, not just Democrats, Republicans are just as bad. My party and all of this stuff when it comes to spending, but I just don't see it happening. But the property, Ed, what do you think is going to end up being on the ballot? Just raising the exemptions? Is that pretty much what's going to be?
No, it'll be right now. It's HJR 203. So it was 201 all the way up to 213. So I think there were 8 of them. I think the latter ones. The earlier ones were just
10 years, but I know, but the governor still says he's got something coming out with something different. If
he adds it on, he's going to have to go to special session on. If he goes,
that's what he's going to do. But Lindsey, here's the bottom line on this whole thing: is do you wait until you get something you want? Let me play for you a clip. This is from Doug Wheeler, one of our good friends at the James Madison Institute. And his group's been following this. He says maybe it's just if you got that score of a 1 to 10, and a 7 to 9 would be really good, but the best you can get is like a 1 to 4. Like Lindsey, you ought to know this. Like, hey, I could rank it like a C plus. If I can get a B plus, I'm in it. But if it's like a C or D minus, should we just wait? This is what Doug Wheeler, who's a policy analyst at James Madison, this is what he said.
Obviously, Governor DeSantis kind of threw that out there last year. Like, I just want to get rid of property taxes. And that was a big, wow, can we really get rid of them? This is an important issue. This one is one that I think they have to get right. I'm hopeful that they can get it done this session. But to be honest with you, if it ends up that they're starting to settle, right, things are happening, and so we're going to just take what we can and settle for some short term, then we'd probably prefer they just not do it, and let's let the next school.
Lindsey, I feel the same way.
I feel the same way. I don't think this is something we can mess with. This isn't like some resolution. Hey, we don't believe in, this trans issue, and so we need to have some resolution about this. No, this is actually going to affect the state in a very meaningful way. It could be good or it could be really bad if the plan isn't right. I think, you don't want to make the perfect the enemy of the good, obviously, but at the same time, I think this has got to be very well thought out, and there's got to be a replacement, just like what Ed Lynch was saying. There's got to be a replacement income.
So, hold on. Yeah, Ed, I didn't mean to interrupt Lindsey, but Ed, here's the thing. It's like saying, hey, if I can throw a 30-yard pass, what the flip of my hand and it off for a 10-yard line? So where do you think a lot of people are going to stand here, Ed Lynch? Because I want to get to the polling on this, and the polling sucks now on this whole property tax. But when you look at it, in your world, anything gets the ball moving forward. But yet, if I can wait a year to 2 years where I can really get the ball moving forward, is it worth waiting?
The thing is, I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of ticked off people because it's not what Ron said. It's not what the representative said. HJR 203 is going to phase in over 10 years, which means almost nothing's going to happen. So what's he doing? He's bribing people by giving them a $1,000 homestead rebate, which, by the way, will be a credit, not a check. He'll give a $1,000 homestead rebate for 2025, and then he'll phase this in over 10 years. Right. And that's kind of the plan. What they're doing is it's kabuki theater. It's not a real plan. It's like the Affordable Care Act. That's only affordable if you give people, money to pay for it.
Yeah. I'm with you on this. I am just, and by the way, how was it that whether it was University of North Florida, Florida National University polling down there, FIU, or James Madison, I mean, where even you have to encompass Republicans, for all of you watching this, and we talk about this on the radio show, Ed, that we're talking, it was summertime of last year, it was like 60%. Now remember, we're not talking just about reform, okay? We're talking about full elimination of the property taxes. It was like 60%. Now that number's been cut in half. Majority still feel like 70+% still want Ed Lynch, a tax reform, but yet 60% when it got cut in half. What did it, Ed? I think because we kept asking the questions, okay, what are you going to replace it with? You can't blame this all on the left, by the way. Did the argument that even though the fire and police, and by the way, the school portion was left out, was still the argument, because I still don't know how that makes sense. I mean, how do you still leave out fire and police? The state doesn't have a say in that. That's a local issue, which means if they're going to put more money into a pension, Ed Lynch, they're going to find the money from somewhere. So you get what I'm saying? So how did that number go from 60% now to now like 30% only favors of eliminating the local property tax?
Well, it's uncertainty. That's the death in all things financial. The market, if there's uncertainty in the market goes down. If people feel like it's going to be good tomorrow, then the market goes up. It's the same thing now. It's like, all right, what are they really trying to do? What are the politicians trying to snake in that, initially you just said, eliminate the property taxes. Okay, that's very simple to understand. Now it's let's phase it over 10 years and let's close our left eye, stand on our right foot, and cross our fingers, and then what we'll do is you'll get a property rebate, homestead rebate of $1,000 for 2025. It's just uncertainty. And so what they'll do is they'll just name it something really glorious. Like we're going to eliminate property taxes for everyone and fluffy marshmallows. And then every moron that comes out to vote, most of them are, they'll come out and just go, oh, fluffy marshmallows, I'm going to vote for that. And that's what they'll do. They'll vote for that and it'll pass, and Ron will be able to claim his little victory, and that'll be that. It's all kabuki theater.
Yeah, it's not the, I can beat this story to death. And I just, like I said, there's more non-homesteaded property owners here in Florida. By the way, real quick, Lindsey, we've talked about this religiously to business owners every day on my radio show. We talk about who's looking out for the business owner like you guys. Okay. And so again, this is not eliminating the property tax. It's just maybe certain groups, but nobody talks about the businesses that are going to have to pick up the tab, and yet they own property. No one seems to talk about that. So.
Yeah, I know it's gonna just decimate some businesses. So that's what's so concerning about this. And I do think if there had been a very good, solid plan at the very beginning when it was a 60% winning issue, I think it could have stayed 60%, even through all the PR campaigns against it. But I think because it's been such a back and forth, like first there was no plan, and now it's this like kind of half-ass plan, excuse my French.
That's fine.
Now it's like, okay, people are losing faith. And I think people, they really have recognized that, we can't trust our politicians. And so it's not good for the issue.
Ed, I got a few moments. If I don't want to bore people with the Epstein issue, but he was big in South Florida. No one's ever seen the talk about this. I'm going to play for you a clip. Fox News, Bill Malugin. Can't stand this guy. He's the prettiest guy in the room. But anyway, I can't stand him.
Bill was at Mar-a-Lago last weekend.
Yeah. By the way, you know what? I can't despise good-looking people. And in my world, that's like 99.9% of the rest of all of you out there. So I can't stand most people. But anyway, so Bill Malugin's got this clip where, now follow me because I want to bring this into a Florida issue. But so they all went after Pam Bondi, and now the claim is, well, we want to know, because they still didn't release all the files, by the way. I keep telling they told us they released all the files, but follow me because I don't want to beat this horse. But as the reporter, I'm always asking a question that's different that nobody else seems to ask. So now they want to go after her, Ed Lynch, and let me play for you the clip by how she chose what to release and what not to release, or redacted or whatever. Listen to the clip. They want to subpoena her. Here's the clip.
With the Oversight Committee, the committee actually voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi to come in and give a deposition to them on her handling of the Epstein files. The vote here was 24-19. There were a handful of Republicans who voted with Democrats. That includes Nancy Mace. She's the one who introduced the motion to subpoena Bondi in the first place.
The War Department will not be.
All right, let me stop right there. Ed, is this more kabuki theater?
Yeah, I mean, that's politics. That's all of it. I mean, Pam, first of all, she doesn't start doing perp walks. She's done. There's low-hanging fruit. Adam Schiff is low-hanging fruit. He's either guilty of mortgage fraud or voter fraud, election fraud. That's a slam dunk. Ilhan Omar, there's no statute of limitations on marrying your brother and using it as immigration fraud. I mean, there's so much low-hanging fruit, and Pam has done 0 perp walks. So as far as her handling of the Epstein thing, or her mishandling of the Epstein thing, that'll be more kabuki theater, because she'll sit there and go, Congressman, I am going to answer your question whether you like it or not. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say this. I do not like what you're saying. And that's what Trump likes about her. She'll fight about something, but say nothing.
But hold on. But Lindsey, this, I know you follow this religiously, and it's not a woman thing, trust me. But to me, I know that Trump's name is more mentioned, and I got a lot of questions, Ed. I mean, I'm going back to Lindsey here, but it's kind of interesting. Some of the complaints were made during 2016 when he ran. Couple more 2019. All right, he wasn't, but 2020. So you could say, okay, that could have been politically motivated. The point that they're bringing up here is that the Clintons came up there. Bill Clinton tried to lawyer his way out and whatever. Trump's name is mentioned more. Okay, whatever it is. Everybody hung out with Epstein. I get it. There's still no proof that Clinton did anything wrong, even though he probably did. No proof that Trump did anything wrong. But to me, I wonder, Lindsey, if this is where it's now become a right versus left issue. To me, I know Ed Lynch, and I know Ed Moore was on with us last week, but Ed Lynch, we've just said, let's transparency, see where it goes. Let's see where everything happens. But now I wonder if it's like from those on my side, on the right, or like, no, we only want to do it because we wanted to go after like the Obama types and the Biden types. And yet you got Steve Bannon, who's a Republican, involved. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, is involved here, Lindsey. And then the Democrats, they don't give a flip about the Clintons anymore. They're irrelevant these days. Their main focus, which I think is where they want to go down the path of impeachment if they win in November, is, well, we just want to make this all about Trump, because they don't give a flip about Democrats anymore. This has actually turned into less about transparency, more about partisanship, Lindsey.
It's all about partisanship. If Obama had done this and he hadn't released all the files and redacted all these names,
Or put it off a vote, yeah.
We'd be tarring and feathering him every single day on conservative talk radio. That's why it's just like we should just treat them equally. I don't care who's the one releasing them. I want the names released. I want it all, and I don't understand. I mean, just because you're in a garage doesn't mean that you're a car. And I feel like that around about this issue. Just because Trump's was around Epstein, just like the Clintons, it doesn't make him a bad guy necessarily. But also, I want justice to be served. There needs to be some perp walks. And so I don't think that it's ever going to get there. I don't.
Yeah.
Ed Lynch, I don't know how you feel like that, but I feel like there's nothing. They're just going to try to sweep this away, sweep it under the rug, and it's going to be over. And that is not that. Right. That's not okay.
So Ed, there's conversations. Now, the AG of Florida is a friend of, ours, James Othmar. He hasn't said anything. I just hear friends have said, is it possible that if Bondi can't get anything done, that the AG here in Florida may look at certain things that may either transcribed or did or didn't happen here in Florida? Is that the next route to go, Ed, or just like, no?
I don't know. Look, the AG here in Florida is a good guy. He's big on anti-child trafficking. I also do a lot in that arena.
Right.
Look, you want to know the epitome of the Kabuki theater we have? We've got ultra MAGA Thomas Massey, right? He's the guy that's going out there. He's the guy that's going to call it out. And he's so ultra MAGA that he's uber MAGA, and he's not even MAGA anymore. He's against Trump. He's against everybody because he wants the truth to be told. Yet this clown who's gone in and seen all the unredacted names, he's seen everything. He comes out of the little secret room that they have, and he has let out how many of those names? 3? That's it. He puts no one else out there. You know what? You're all full of crap. Put these people's name out there. Let it be what it is. Investigate all of this stuff. If they're guilty of child trafficking, if they're guilty with having sex with minors, then execute them on the spot. I'm completely good with that.
Dang.
It is disgusting. It is vile. We are charged. God has charged us with taking care of the most vulnerable in our society. And these animals go out and they abuse that. And I think those people deserve nothing better than death.
Lindsey, I've always been curious. Ed, you've lived in Palm Beach. You're a business owner as well, besides your being a professor and on radio and TV. But Epstein, what I'm always curious about, the whole Epstein thing, is here in Florida, is everybody thinks that you had to go to the island to do the business. And some of the girls are like, no, we used to travel to meet with other clients. You get what I'm saying? So you didn't have to come to Epstein Island. But yet, there was a lot of BS that happened down in your neck of the woods, Palm Beach County, police, paid off corruption. That to me has been has it been really touched or thoroughly investigated? To me, that's a story I don't think it's been touched enough. No pun.
No, it definitely hasn't, and it will not. I mean, it just is what it is, and that's the sin of it. I mean, look, you've got Zorro Ranch. There's a lot that went on there. There's the island, the ranch in, was it Wyoming?
Oh,
yeah, Epstein's ranch. Supposedly there's bodies buried there.
Zorro Ranch, like the Mask of?
I think it's called Zorro. It might be called something else. I don't know. And then you've got his apartment in New York City. Don't forget, he's got the second largest house in, I think, Ohio, which is right next to the largest house, which, coincidentally, is owned by Les Wexner. Oh, yeah, but let's not question the guy that gave him all the money in the beginning. And why did they give him the money? Because he was a math teacher in a girls' school that really didn't work out all that well. Come on.
I would say more on a state level as well. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but even here, what's gone on there? What do you think? Nothing happened in his mansion there?
Investigate that. That's what I'm saying. I wonder how much corruption is in locally. I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying is that. Well, I'm saying it. Not sound redundant. What I'm getting at is why is it that no one seems to handle what took or quote didn't take place in down in South Florida?
It's not necessarily just the corruption in that there's payoffs or things like that. There's the kind of like, I don't want to see it. I'm dealing with my own stuff over here. You know how many people I know, they hear the crazy stories of the beef jerky or whatever they call it with that they're eating children and drinking the blood and sacrificing this and all of that. You know how many people I know that just go, I don't want to know that even exists. I don't want to hear anything about it. I want to know if it exists. If there's evil people out there doing this,
I get
in whatever name that there is, they need to be dealt with. But there's too many people that go, I don't want to talk about it.
Yep.
All right. Well, listen, we've said a lot today, and we're going to have more because I know you come on with us all the time. Ed Lynch, of course, adjunct professor at Palm Beach State College. And then, of course, his podcast, web and audio, The Primal Truth. I always love having you come on. Watch him on Facebook. Ed Lynch down in South Florida. Eddie, thanks for coming on today, brother.
My pleasure, guys.
Ed,
All
you're
right.
awesome.
Yeah, he's
Thanks,
good.
Lindsey.
Ed Lynch, yeah. Cracks me up too, man.
I love him. He does not parse words. He's so great.
Yeah, I know.
We need more Ed Lynches in this
Yeah,
world.
Eddie is in. He calls me Eddie all the time because it's Ed Dean, but everybody calls me Eddie. Yeah, but Ed Lynch is entertaining as anything.
Yeah.
I just the whole thing. I only get when I bring up Epstein. To me, on a Florida level, listen, I can tell you my years as a reporter of corruption cases I've covered, corruption stories I've never even printed because nobody want to go on a record. Sometimes the anonymous sources are legit, Lindsey, but because they want to be able to tell you more. And I know sometimes, well, it's the fake media. Well, here at Florida Daily, we're not fake media. We do have anonymous sources that will tell us things, and we know who they are, but the stuff they've told us has been pretty credible. But, they're just, it's just the whole thing about corruption down in Palm Beach County in South Florida, the whole Epstein thing. I find that very, very curious. So
Yeah, I do
right.
too. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's terrible.
I know.
But justice needs to be served.
I
Justice
know,
does.
man. I know.
You don't hurt those babies. No,
All right.
do not hurt the kids.
Ed Dean, Lindsey Randall, ready for tomorrow, Wednesday, for another edition of the Florida Daily Show.